The first thing I noticed was the toothbrush. Not hers, too. One electric, one manual. One pink, one blue. I wasn't supposed to see inside her bag. She'd forgotten her retainer, and I thought I was being helpful. But when I unzipped the side pocket to slip it in, there it was, lying between a travel-sized mouthwash and a pair of neatly folded lace underwear I hadn't seen her wear in over a year. I just stood there, staring at the second toothbrush like it was ticking, like it was about to explode and take everything I believed with it. She told me it was a team-building retreat. 3 days. No spouses. Company rules. I didn't argue. I even helped her pick out a sweater because she said the lake house might be chilly at night. I told her to take the beige one. It made her look soft and warm and safe. What a joke. The toothbrush wasn't the only thing. There were 2 sets of deodorant. One scented, one unscented. 2 chargers. 2 colognes. One of them definitely wasn't hers. I knew the brand. I used to wear it in college. It reeked of fake confidence and old secrets. I didn't say anything right away. I just zipped it shut and sat on the edge of the bed for what felt like hours. My mind went dead quiet, like the calm before a siren. I wasn't angry. Not yet. That part came later. What really got me was the note she left on the fridge. Be kind to yourself this weekend. Orange heart. Not I'll miss you. Not love you. Just that, like I was some distant friend she felt vaguely sorry for. By the time I made it to the car, I wasn't planning anything. I wasn't storming in. I just needed to know. I drove 4.5 hours in total silence. No music. No podcasts. Just the dull throb of my own heartbeat and the rising suspicion that everything in my life was built on something soft and rotting. When I reached the lake house, I parked a little down the road, out of sight. Her company van was there. A couple of rental cars. One of them had out-of-state plates. And one of them, I swear to God, had her old college decal on the back. She told me she hated anyone from that school. I walked up slowly, pretending I was someone else. Someone brave. Someone who didn't care what he was about to find. And then I saw the light in the upstairs window flick on, and 2 silhouettes moved across the curtain. I didn't move for a full minute. The curtain swayed gently as if someone had just walked by, and the light in that upstairs room, it didn't flicker like a hallway bulb or a bathroom someone popped into. It glowed steady, warm, and yellow. Cozy. Familiar. Intimate. The kind of light you leave on when you don't expect company. I could have left right then. Should have. But I didn't. Instead, I stood under a tree across the gravel drive, half hidden like some character in a bad novel, and tried to piece together what the hell I was looking at. My breath was coming too fast. My palms were sweaty. And the worst part? I still wasn't sure if I wanted to be right or wrong. Being wrong meant I was paranoid, insecure, the kind of guy who doesn't trust his wife. Being right meant my entire life was about to split in half. I kept thinking about that damn toothbrush. The minutes dragged. A shadow passed the window again. Just one this time. Then the lights downstairs turned off, not all at once, but in a slow, staggered pattern, like someone making the rounds before heading up for the night. Like someone settling in. Like someone who wasn't alone. I crept a little closer. The cabin wasn't huge, more like a luxury rental than a corporate retreat space. 2 floors. Wide porch. Adirondack chairs out front, untouched. No voices, no music. Just silence, broken occasionally by a dog barking somewhere far off or the crunch of my own feet on the gravel. I kept to the side of the house, staying low. I hated myself for how good I was at sneaking around. I shouldn't have been good at it. No one should. But my body moved like it already knew betrayal was waiting for me. Like it was bracing for the impact. I found a narrow window on the ground floor, mostly hidden behind a half-lowered blind. Inside, I could make out what looked like a small kitchen. Granite counters. A bottle of wine, red, half empty, and 2 glasses. One with lipstick. One without. Then footsteps. Upstairs. I froze, pressing myself flat against the wooden siding like it would somehow protect me. The floorboards above creaked, slow and deliberate, as if someone was pacing. No laughter. No chatting. Just steps. Then muffled voices. Too low to make out. Then nothing. And then the light upstairs went off. I didn't breathe. 10 seconds passed. Then 20. Then 30. My knees were shaking. Not from fear, from knowing. I was going to see it. I was going to see something I could never unsee. But I had to. It wasn't even about her anymore. It was about me. About whether I'd rather live in ignorance or finally drag the truth into the light, no matter how much it burned. I walked around the back. There was a sliding glass door. It was locked, of course, but the curtain inside had been left slightly open. So I looked, and what I saw in that reflection made my heart stop completely. Because looking back at me wasn't just my face. It was hers, barefoot, in pajamas that weren't hers, walking hand in hand with someone I'd never seen before. For a moment, I honestly thought I was hallucinating. My brain just refused to connect the image in front of me to the reality I knew. Delaney was smiling, not just smiling, glowing. That soft, half-sleepy kind of smile she used to give me when we watched dumb shows at 1 a.m. after long days. Her head was tilted slightly to the side, hair damp like she'd just showered. She wore pajama shorts I knew for a fact hadn't been in her bag when she packed. The man beside her? I didn't recognize him. Tall, early 30s maybe, scruffy beard, dark tank top and sweats. Comfortable, like he belonged, like he wasn't a visitor, like this had been their place for a long time. They didn't speak. They just moved together slowly, like people who already knew each other's rhythms, like talking wasn't even necessary anymore. He poured water into a mug. She took it without asking. He kissed the top of her head without hesitation. She leaned into it like muscle memory. That one small gesture shattered something inside me. I stepped back instinctively, and my shoe scraped against a loose stone. Not loud, not enough for most people to notice, but I saw her head snap slightly toward the window. I ducked fast, heart pounding so violently I swear I felt it in my teeth. Had she seen me? No movement, no sound. I waited, crouched in the dark behind the railing of the deck, knees aching, breath shallow. Then a curtain inside moved, and the sliding door opened. Footsteps came out onto the deck, bare feet on wood. Slow, careful. It was her. I could see the silhouette of her frame, lit faintly from inside. She stood there for a second, scanning the trees. She wasn't calling out. She wasn't scared, just alert, like she felt something, like maybe some small part of her knew I was close. I didn't move, not even a blink. After a while, she went back in. When the door clicked shut, I stood up slowly and walked back to my car without really feeling my feet. The air felt thick, like trying to breathe underwater. My head was buzzing and hollow at the same time. It should have ended there. I should have driven home, started packing, called a lawyer, called my mom, cried in the shower, anything. But I didn't. I sat in the driver's seat with the engine off, staring through the windshield into the dark trees. And here's the thing I haven't told anyone yet. I knew that man, not by name, but by voice. Because 2 weeks before that trip, I'd overheard Delaney on a call late at night when she thought I was asleep. Whispering, giggling. I only caught a few words before she walked out of the room to take it in the garage. But I remembered that voice. And now, hearing it through the glass, it all clicked. He wasn't from her company. He wasn't from creative. He was him, the voice on the other end of that call. And suddenly, I realized this wasn't a one-night thing. This wasn't a drunken slip-up in the woods. This had history, a whole invisible second life running parallel to mine. And I'd been living in the shadow of it without even knowing. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even try. But I did make a decision. If she had built a secret life behind my back, I was going to walk right into it, through the front door. I returned the next morning. Not in the dead of night, like some jilted ghost lurking in shadows. That was too easy. I came back in daylight. On purpose. Wearing the jacket she gave me for my birthday 2 years ago, and the shoes she said made me look like someone who knew where he was going. I pulled into the gravel lot like I belonged there. Didn't park far this time. Didn't hide. There were 3 cars now. One of them I recognized. Krista's, I think. Delaney hadn't lied about everything. That realization should have comforted me. It didn't. I walked up the porch steps, deliberately slow. Every creak of wood underfoot felt like a countdown. A version of me, the calm one, the sane one, kept whispering, "You don't want this, Kent. You don't want what's behind that door." But the rest of me didn't care anymore. Not about Grace. Not about saving face. I wasn't there to scream. I wasn't even there to accuse. I just wanted to look her in the eyes and see what lived there now. Guilt? Panic? Maybe nothing at all. When I reached the door, I didn't knock like a madman. I didn't pound. I raised my hand and gave 2 calm, polite taps. Then I stepped back and waited. I heard footsteps. They stopped. Then softer ones. The door didn't open right away, but someone peeked through the peephole. I could hear the movement. Then a muffled voice from inside. "Who is it?" That was her. My wife. Her voice sounded off. Tight. I didn't answer. A pause. Then the door clicked, chain rattled, and finally, it opened about 6 inches. She looked out, and the way her face dropped, not angry, not surprised, but afraid, confirmed everything I already knew. Kent, she said. What are you doing here? I tilted my head, like I was the one confused. I forgot to water the basil, I said. Her mouth opened, then closed. She stepped outside quickly, pulling the door nearly shut behind her. Still barefoot, still in those unfamiliar pajamas. Her hair was pulled back now, not the usual messy bun, but clean, intentional, defensive. Why didn't you call? She asked, barely above a whisper. I wanted it to be a surprise, I replied. She looked over her shoulder, then back at me. You shouldn't be here. Why? Because it's work. It's not appropriate. That was her story, and she was sticking to it. Even with the guilt hanging off her shoulders like wet concrete, she still clung to the lie like it was a shield. And I realized she wasn't going to confess. Not without being cornered. Not without proof. So I gave her an out. I saw someone upstairs last night, I said softly. You looked happy. Her lips tightened. No denial. Just silence. I kept going. I wasn't going to come in. I just wanted to see your face. I wanted to know what a lie looks like up close. Tears welled in her eyes. Not the kind that beg for forgiveness, but the kind that come when someone finally understands they're not getting away with it. Then the door behind her opened fully. And there he was. The man. Same scruffy beard. Same dead calm eyes. He didn't say a word. He just looked at me. Not like a threat. Worse. He looked at me like I was inconvenient. Like a dog that wandered into the wrong yard. Delaney turned around, caught off guard, and whispered, I told you to stay inside. That hit harder than anything else. She was protecting him from me. In our world. In the space where we were supposed to be real. I didn't say another word. I turned around. Walked back to the car. Hands shaking. Chest hollow. And as I pulled away, I watched the reflection of the lake blur through my windshield, and I knew. This wasn't just the end of something. It was the beginning of something I hadn't figured out how to survive yet. The drive back home was the quietest 3 hours of my life. I didn't turn on music. Didn't scream. Didn't cry. Not because I wasn't devastated. I was, but because everything felt too quiet inside me to even react. It was like my brain had unplugged itself for its own safety. Like my body knew I couldn't handle the noise. I parked in the driveway and just sat there for a while, staring at our front door. It looked different now. The house felt like a set piece. Like a memory of someone else's life. I kept looking at the front porch where she used to leave her shoes after hikes, at the wind chime she insisted on hanging even though I hated the sound. And then, like a slow drip of poison, the details started coming back. The sudden overtime hours that didn't match her pay stubs. The new perfume she got from Krista, but never wore around me. The locked phone. The private Instagram account. The way she stopped asking me to take her picture. The way she started correcting me more often. Subtle shifts, like she was rehearsing her exit while I still thought we were writing the same story. I walked inside and found the house almost insultingly normal. Laundry basket by the stairs. Her tea mug still in the sink. The book she was rereading for the 5th time, face down on the couch like she'd be back in 5 minutes. It was like a museum built to preserve the illusion that we were still in love. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed on the couch with the lights off, listening to every small creak and wind gust like the house might confess something if I sat still long enough. But what came instead wasn't a sound, it was a notification. At 2:12 a.m., her tablet lit up on the coffee table. I stared at it. She'd left it behind. Rare for her. And something about that made my skin crawl. I didn't even plan to look. I told myself I wouldn't. That I was better than that. But then it buzzed again. And again. 3 messages. All from the same contact. Jasper, work. The first message. You okay? That was close. The second. He won't do anything. He's not that kind of guy. The third. I'm not changing my mind. Let him figure it out slowly. It's better that way. I didn't move for at least 5 minutes. Then I opened the full thread. What I found wasn't just flirty texts. It wasn't even just confessions of love. It was strategy. They'd been planning this for months. Not just the affair, the exit. Coordinated. Calculated. There were screenshots of our joint calendar with notes about best windows, mentions of when I was most distracted, even a list of people she thought would side with her if it got messy. She called me passive, said I wouldn't make a scene, Wrote that I don't have the spine to fight, and that he'll just fade, like always. I sat there with my hands trembling, rereading every single message like a masochist trying to memorize pain. And the worst part? She wasn't wrong. I hadn't fought. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't demanded anything. I'd stood there and let her choose someone else in front of me. I closed the tablet, set it back down exactly how it was, and stared at it like it might catch fire. This wasn't a marriage that cracked. This was a marriage that had been engineered to collapse, with me as the quiet casualty. But something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't even going to confront her. No. I was going to do the one thing she didn't expect from me. I was going to stop fading. The next morning, I didn't call her. I didn't send a passive-aggressive text or leave a dramatic voicemail. I didn't even hint that I'd seen the messages. Because the truth is, if you want to dismantle someone's strategy, the worst thing you can do is interrupt it too soon. Instead, I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and started a list. Not of revenge tactics. Not of ways to win her back or ruin his life. No, this list was for me. What she doesn't know. What she thinks she knows. What I'll let her keep thinking. It was the first time in months, maybe years, that I felt like I was actually thinking clearly. Like the fog had finally lifted, and I could see every piece of the board. And Delaney? She had no clue I'd even shown up to the game. Around 10 a.m., my phone buzzed. Her name lit up. I let it ring. Twice. Then I answered on the third, keeping my voice flat. Hey. Hey, she said. Her voice was too careful, like she was measuring each syllable. I'm heading back later tonight. Just wanted to check in. Check in. Like this was a business meeting. Cool, I said. How's the retreat? She paused. Good. Productive. Tiring. Right. Sounds fun. Another pause. This one longer. Everything okay? I smiled into the receiver, even though she couldn't see it. Yeah. Watered the basil. I could practically hear her trying to figure out how much I knew. Whether I'd seen anything. Whether I'd been there. I kept my tone light, conversational, exactly what she expected from someone passive, someone too broken to pose a threat. We ended the call quickly. She didn't say I love you this time, and I didn't either. After I hung up, I started digging. Nothing dramatic, not yet. Just quiet inventory of the world she assumed I was too blind to question. Bank records. Shared subscriptions. Search history. Passwords she hadn't changed in years. And what I found wasn't just about them, it was about me. I saw just how long she'd been drifting away. All the gaps I hadn't filled. All the things I thought were small moments that had clearly been markers to her. Signals of how much she thought I'd stopped matching. But here's the twist she didn't see coming. She assumed I was stuck. That I wouldn't move unless she pushed me. That I'd beg or collapse or mope around waiting for some closure she could deny me. But something else had taken root in me. It wasn't rage. Rage is messy. Predictable. She expected rage. No. What grew inside me was colder. More useful. It was a clarity so sharp it almost hurt. By noon, I'd opened a private checking account. By 1:30, I'd scheduled a consultation with a lawyer I found through a friend from college. By 3, I had already pulled half of our savings into a separate account she didn't know existed. Not stolen mine. I just took my half. I had every right. And by 5 p.m., I'd made an appointment to look at a small apartment 2 towns over. Not to move into immediately. I wasn't running. I was building an exit quietly, the way she did. If she wanted to be methodical, I'd match her beat for beat. But where she chose to dismantle love behind a curtain, I'd dismantle her illusions without ever raising my voice. That night, she came home. I didn't mention the lake house. Didn't mention him. I kissed her on the cheek like always. Helped bring in her bag. Pretended not to notice that she'd repacked it more carefully this time, like she knew I might see it. She looked tired. Performed tired. Said she wanted to shower, unpack later. And as she disappeared upstairs, I stood in our living room, my living room, and felt something strange flood my chest. For the first time in this entire nightmare, I wasn't afraid of losing her anymore. Because somewhere deep down, I had already buried the version of her I once loved. And I had just started building the version of me that she'll never see coming. The next morning, she made pancakes. Not toast. Not oatmeal. Pancakes. The kind she only ever made on birthdays or after an argument. Like they were some edible peace offering she could hide intentions inside. She added blueberries. Set the table. Even put a little vase with a single daisy in it, which she never did. Thought it'd be nice, she said casually, pouring coffee. We've both been busy. Felt like we haven't connected lately. I nodded, chewing slowly, tasting every layer of performance she had folded into the batter. Yeah, I said. Been a weird few weeks. She paused mid-sip. Weird how? I shrugged. Just off. Life stuff. Work's been weird. I watched her eyes, looking for flickers, fractures. But she held the mask. She was good. Too good. She didn't know that I'd already seen it fall. Later, while she was in the shower, I checked the laundry bin. Her pajamas, the ones I'd seen her wearing at the cabin, weren't there. Nor the perfume she always packed when she traveled. She had scrubbed the weekend clean. Sanitized it. The bed was made perfectly. Her phone was now locked tighter. She was on high alert. But what she didn't realize was how quiet I'd become. Not the silence of surrender. The silence of strategy. By Thursday, I'd moved more money. Carefully. Legally. She wouldn't notice yet. I was still playing the part. Still taking out the trash. Still texting her things like, want me to pick up anything from the store? And dinner at 7 okay? And each time, she responded faster than usual. Eager. Polite. Trying to stitch the illusion back together faster than it was unraveling. That night, we were watching some Netflix docuseries she picked out. She reached over, put her hand on my knee, and said, "You've been different lately." In a good way. Present. Present. She meant tamed. She meant contained. She meant predictable again. And I smiled, kissed the top of her head, said, just trying to do better. And that was when I realized the real power had shifted. She had no idea I wasn't playing the same game anymore. She had no idea I already knew that Jasper had a criminal record for fraud, that his last employer had sued him for harassment, that he'd changed his last name in 2019 after a messy divorce and a sealed court file in another state. I hadn't said a word of it. I didn't need to, because she still thought she was protecting him from me, still thought I was the one in denial, still thought her secret was intact. But the real reason I hadn't said anything yet wasn't because I was scared. It was because I needed her to lie again, to lie when I already had the truth. And it came 2 days later, like I knew it would. We were cleaning out the hallway closet when I found her old sketchbook, the one she stopped using after switching to her digital tablet. I flipped through it idly while she organized shoes. One page, tucked in the back, had a rough pencil sketch of a man. Tall, bearded, standing near a tree. It wasn't finished, but the shape of the jaw, the posture, I knew who it was. I turned it toward her. "Who's this?" She looked up, and in less than a second, one single second, she smiled and said, "Oh, that? Some character I was designing a while back. Didn't really go anywhere." And that was it. That was the moment. Not the trip. Not the toothbrush. Not the texts or the touch or the retreat. It was this mundane lie about a sketch she didn't know she left behind. This casual rewrite of something already burned into her memory. I nodded, closed the sketchbook, put it back, and I knew, without question, I had her exactly where I needed her to be. Not panicked, not exposed, just comfortable enough to believe she still controlled the story. That's when people make mistakes. That's when the truth begins to collapse on its own. And that's when I start writing the ending. Not for her, but for me. 2 weeks passed. I didn't confront her. I didn't ask questions I already had answers to. I gave her exactly what she wanted, the illusion of stability. Warm smiles over coffee. Thoughtful texts during the workday. I kissed her shoulder in the morning, and she leaned into it like we were healing. But I wasn't healing. I was preparing. Because somewhere along the way, I realized I didn't need her confession. I didn't need the tearful apology or the big dramatic climax. I had already grieved the version of her I loved. That man, the version of me who believed we were still building something together, was already gone. And what replaced him wasn't broken. He was free. One quiet Friday morning, I woke up early, made her favorite tea, and left it by her bedside. I didn't leave a long note. I didn't want her to feel like she'd won, or lost, or been punished. Instead, I left her a single sentence on a yellow sticky note beside the mug. "I love the version of you I knew, but I'm going to go find the version of me I forgot." Then I stepped out the front door of our house, not like a man fleeing, but like a man finally walking away from the echo of something that no longer served him. I moved into the apartment I'd quietly secured 2 towns over. Small, clean, and quiet. No reminders. No compromises. Just mine. My name on the lease. My rules. My rhythm. I didn't block her. I didn't post about it. I didn't even explain it to most friends. I simply stepped back into my own life. Slowly, deliberately, I started running again, something I hadn't done since college. I joined a local co-op art class, even though I can't sketch a straight line, just because I wanted to do something that had no purpose other than joy. And a funny thing happened once the silence stretched out long enough. It stopped hurting. It started feeling like peace. Not absence, just space. A month later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, but I recognized her handwriting. Inside, just a small note. I didn't think you'd ever leave first. I was wrong. I hope you find someone who never asks you to fade. I folded it, placed it in the back of a drawer, and haven't read it again since. Because the truth is, I'm not looking for someone new yet. Right now, I'm just enjoying what it feels like to wake up without bracing for the lie. To laugh without wondering if someone's pretending. To water the basil and drink my coffee in the quiet and know, with absolute certainty, that I'm no longer living a life that belongs to someone else. I didn't burn it all down. I just walked away. And that, for me, was the happiest ending I could have ever written.